Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
So the key is, what do you, and then he wrote a beautiful song, and he said, he gave the hint to answer this question. He said, I am not working to maintain my household, I am working to maintain Krishna's household. As I told one of the girls last night at the Bhakti Lounge, who had a similar question, you have to turn your home into an ashram, that's the key. So when you go out to earn that living, you see, you're making money to support an ashram, a place of spiritual cultivation. It shouldn't be a place where you come home and there's mundane TV, and mundane this and mundane that everywhere. You should clean out all the mundane crud from your house and your apartment, turn it into an ashram. Do yourself a favor, otherwise that atmosphere in your home will drag you down in the animal kingdom in your next birth. I guarantee you it will. If you don't believe me, try it. Keep all the mundane stuff in your house and see what your next birth is. I hate to be so blunt, but sometimes as a teacher we have to be blunt. It's our duty to tell you the blunt truth. But on the other hand, if you will spiritualize your home, get rid of all the mundane stuff, you don't need to have Michael Jordan on the wall, for example. Just think, an example. You can have Krishna, you can have Lord Chaitanya, you can have Prabhupada, you can have your spiritual master. Put a big poster of your Guru Maharaj. You see? Spiritualize the place. On Krishna's pastimes, Govardhan Hill. You see? Turn your home, just like here. Make the same atmosphere you have here, make your home like this. There's nothing mundane in this wonderful. This is a wonderful spiritual world. We're in the spiritual world here. There's Radha and Krishna. There's so many beautiful pictures everywhere, just so inspiring. Transcendental books. Make your home an ashram. How you spend the money will make you or break you in the workplace. How you spend the results of that hard work will make you or break your Krishna consciousness in the workplace. And there are other tips as well. How many of you drink water when you're at work or at school? We all drink water, sure. So, Prabhupada told us, well, the first time I ever heard Prabhupada speak was in San Francisco in 1971. The first lecture I ever heard in Prabhupada's presence. He said, you're drinking water once, twice, thrice, more than that every day. He said, every time you drink water, you remember that Krishna is a taste of the water, immediately you become Krishna conscious. So whenever you drink water at work or at school, remember Krishna. Or even some juice, Prabhupada in any liquid thing. And instead of buying food at the cafeteria or the workplace, bring it from home. Don't eat outside food unless it's an emergency. My wife and I fly all over the world, 60 flights a year we take, okay? How many on those flights do we eat food provided by the airplane? 0. And I'm talking about many years of flying. I've lost track of how many years we've flown, how many times we've gone around the globe. For maybe 5 or 6 years, 5 or 6 years, isn't it? How long have we been doing these round the world tours? I forgot. It seems like forever. Huh?
2004.
We started in 2004. Wow. So we've never taken food provided by the airlines even once in all these tours. We always bring our own. We bring our own prasadam and eat that on the airplane. We eat much better than anybody else on the airplane. Sometimes we even share the prasadam with the flight attendants, and they love it. So, don't eat outside food. Bring food from home. It's cheaper. It's transcendental. You offer it to Krishna in this way. And another trick is, don't eat karmi bread. don't eat bread cooked by karmis. Get a bread machine, make your own bread. It's pure, don't, and there's so many little tricks. It's like, instead of buying karmi cereals like Cheerios or Wheaties, any grains cooked by karmis have a contaminating effect on your consciousness. You can easily buy some oats. There's so many recipes for granola. You can make a big batch of granola, which is much more delicious and nutritious than those store-bought things. You can make your own homemade granola offered to Krishna. It's completely pure, without any contamination. You make a big batch of granola, put it in a plastic container, and keep it for like every once a month or every couple of weeks. You make a big batch of granola on Saturday, and you have wonderful grains cooked by Vaishnavas, offered to the Lord, which are full of spiritual potency. What you eat, you see, will affect your consciousness. You eat karmi cooked food, you're just making it very difficult for yourself to be Krishna conscious. So those are some tips. Obviously, while you're driving to work, you can listen to some transcendental lectures. And then, of course, finish your round before you go to work every day or school. 16 good rounds before you go to work. Connect solidly with Krishna first thing in the day. And then the rest of the day you will feel connected. If you save your rounds for the evening, you were disconnected the whole day. Now you're trying to make up for it at the end of the day before you go to rest at night. Connect yourself solidly with 16 quality rounds before you go to the campus or your workplace, and then you'll feel connected with Krishna the whole day. Go to bed early and get up early. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and Krishna conscious. Even materialists, successful materialists, get up early. But they don't sleep in. Just for example, Tim Cook. He's now, after Stephen Jobs left by dint of leaving his body, left Apple Computers, Tim Cook is his success. You know what time he gets up every morning? 3:45 a.m. without fail, every day. 3:45 a.m. That's a karma. Successful materialists get up early in the morning, and successful spiritualists get up early in the morning. Getting up early in the morning equals success, sleeping in equals failure, spiritually and materially. So to be materially and spiritually successful, rise early in the morning. Unless you prefer being a failure, and then you can sleep like a dog the whole day. So there's some tips. How to be a present-day Paramahamsa. As I mentioned earlier in the earlier sessions, Prabhupada said every householder should be a Paramahamsa. Husband and wife both Paramahamsas. Spawn like the Buddha, he said Vaishnava means Paramahamsa. He gave the example, Prithu Maharaj was a Paramahamsa, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a Paramahamsa, Priyabhata Maharaj is Paramahamsa. So many householders he gives an example of Paramahamsa. In the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman, the 18th chapter, yeah. The word Vrajam, Krishna said, Prabhupada never said in his purport to go to Braj in the higher sense, Vrajam. But I heard lecture in Toronto, Braj means go to Braj Vrindavan. I heard there was some commentary by somebody outside of ISKCON. That may be an esoteric understanding, but it's certainly a fact that if you surrender to Krishna, you will go to Braj. So there's no contradiction. Prabhupada didn't translate it that way, nor did he ever make such comments. Some other Vaishnavas may have made such commentaries. We don't negate those commentaries, nor are we so interested in repeating them either, because it didn't come from Prabhupada. T-shirts having pictures of Lord Jagannath, Lord Krishna. Your thoughts, please, Prabhu. Non-devotees getting to see Lord Jagannath in the t-shirt versus going to the washroom with the same t-shirt. Or offering your obeisances, laying down on Lord Jagannath when you offer your dandavats. For women it's not so bad, but the men are doing dandavats. They're crushing Krishna between their chest and the floor when they offer their dandavats. That's the arguments. I never heard Prabhupada say anything about it. I know when Hari Sari Prabhu, we've all heard of him, he was Prabhupada's personal servant, he wrote the Transcendental Diary. When he was Prabhupada's personal servant, he had a picture, a t-shirt with Prabhupada on it. And if Prabhupada was opposed to it, he would have told him, why are you wearing that t-shirt? You're going to be crushing me when you offer your obeisances. He was Prabhupada's personal servant. I saw a picture of him wearing that t-shirt, standing there with Prabhupada. So I don't think we can, I don't think we should be fanatical about banning the t-shirts. I think the t-shirts can be allowed, and going to the toilet room with Lord Jagannath. Even though we don't take sacred things into the bathroom, I think you can, it's okay in that situation. Even japa beads, we don't take them into the toilet room. But if you're traveling, I know one time, some devotees, we were preaching in the University of Florida, traveling some kirtan. And one devotee, he said, well, I have to go to the bathroom. They were going on the campus, a public bathroom. I'll leave my beads out in the hall. I don't want to take my beads into the bathroom. He came out, somebody had stolen his beads. So if you're traveling and you have japa beads, you may have to take them into the bathroom, but rather than just leave them somewhere where they're going to get stolen. Of course, if you're on the airplane, you leave them on your seat. But if you're somewhere, you know, chanting japa, you're on a long japa walk, and nature's call comes, you have to go to some restroom while you're on a japa walk, is it wrong to take your beads in the bathroom? There's time, place, and circumstance. And you can put it inside a pocket, so it's to minimize its exposure to the foul air of the bathroom, you know, something like that. Instead of just leaving it open, and put it inside somewhere so it's protected, insulated in the atmosphere. Okay, please accept my humble obeisances. We have to work in order to maintain the body and family. All this is also a kind of devotional service, as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We have to do everything by keeping Krishna in the center. Double everything in Krishna's service is very difficult. It's been 7 hours plus in an office environment. It's materialistic, and it is painful sometimes. Oh yes. We motivate ourselves to do a job, to maintain ourselves, a family, what God is in Krishna consciousness. Well, you have to see that this is your purification, Prabhu. You're being purified. Yes, it's an austerity, I know. I was doing it for 3 years, a full-time job for Chilton Corporation, Dallas, Texas, and it was really an austerity. But it's for our purification. According to our karma, I'm put in that certain situation to purify me. So you have to take it as an austerity. Krishna says, whatever austerity you may perform, do that outside of Kunti as an offering unto me. Okay, Krishna, this is really an austerity, but I'm doing it as an offering unto you. Take it as an austerity in Krishna's service. But I'll give you a tip. If it's possible, start your own business. Of course, it's not easy in today's world to do that. But after working for MCI for a few years, I had this ear problem with loud noise, and it was too noisy for me. So I just had to walk away from there, and I started my own business selling airline tickets, specializing on India, and I did quite well. And it was really enlivening. Instead of the half-hour commute, it was the 30-second commute. And so if you can start, it's not easy. I tried many things and they failed, but actually, if you can start your own business, it's quite a different. Of course, sometimes it doesn't work. I know Mahabhagavata had a business, but it was too difficult to make it profitable. He ended up being employees because it was difficult to make the business profitable. So sometimes we have to do the needful. It may mean being an employee. If you have a way to be an entrepreneur, it definitely, as it said, proprietorship turns sand into gold. I used to make killer profits off of Christian missionaries who were going to India. I would mark it up like crazy. I felt really good doing that. Because they're going to convert the heathen Hindus. But I had a few Christian ministers who used to regularly buy tickets for me. Anytime they went to India, they'd call me up. And we're like buddies, you know. I can easily talk because I'm from that background. And I felt really good. We were making really good money off of them. They're going to go anyway, so at least we'll make some really good profit for Krishna off of them. So, I mean, being an entrepreneur is definitely more enlivening than being an employee, because you're the boss. You set your own hours, you set your own vacation time. You're not a slave of anyone else. You're the master of your business. And you do it the way, you know, I found it rather exciting. And of course, being a preacher is being the ultimate entrepreneur. Because now you're engaged in marketing to the whole world. The whole world is your market. I one time studied marketing a little bit, and there were three things for a successful business. You have to find something that everybody needs, number one. Number two, you have to find a product that fulfills that need. And number three, you have to find a way to connect the product with the people who need the need. And if you do that, you can have a very, very successful business. So I realized that actually Krishna consciousness is the ultimate enterprise, because the whole world needs Krishna consciousness. The whole world is suffering without Krishna consciousness, and we have the product. The Prabhupada has given us the product. He's given us the ultimate product. He's given us the entrepreneurial dream of the product that absolutely every man, woman, and child on this face and this planet needs. This is bigger than the smartphone. He has given us the ultimate product which absolutely everybody must have. They absolutely must have it. Now it's up to us to do step number 3, to find out the ways and means to connect the product with the market. And so this is like the ultimate entrepreneurial dream, Krishna consciousness movement. Some devotees, they just they do full-time book distribution and maintain themselves in that way. They do prasada distribution. That's their livelihood, they distribute prasada. So that's actually, if one can start a restaurant for it, it's a lot of work. I have a disciple in Lithuania, for example. He was not my disciple, he was in a small town, a very little village in the forests of Lithuania, very small little town. He had a restaurant serving meat, and that's how he maintained his family. It was his restaurant. And he wanted to get initiated, but he was wondering, well, how can I maintain a livelihood? Because everybody here is a meat eater, and how can I survive? You know, can I sell meat and get initiated? He was, you know, I wondered. I said, no. You just depend on Krishna, follow this instruction, make a vegetarian restaurant, and you know what? It became a big hit in the town. He didn't lose any money. He didn't lose any. His business is flourishing now. He's selling prasadam for a livelihood. So, you know, see if there's something you can do that's more enlivening. But if it's, you know, but you have to be realistic also. It's not practical. It's not practical. You have a huge overhead, and you have you know, so many mortgages to pay, and so many things. The real bottom line is you sincerely do your very best to purely serve Krishna, to purely serve Prabhupada, to purely serve your spiritual master, and depend on Krishna. That's the real bottom line. Krishna can work miracles. I never could dream I'd be a traveling preacher like this. flying all over the world with my wife, preaching. I never dreamed it could happen with Krishna. It happened by Krishna's grace. But I always had this desire to spread Krishna consciousness movement, to save the suffering souls of this planet. I always had this burning desire in my heart. So keep that desire burning in your heart. Here's another realization about it. If you will use every bit of your free time in Krishna's service, not mixing it with sense enjoyment, like, mundane movies once a month, or something like that. See what I'm saying? If you will utilize every spare minute you have in Krishna's service, you know what he'll do? He'll give you more time. If you mix your free time with sense enjoyment, he's not going to give you more free time because you're not using it properly. Just like as a kid growing up, our dad gave, I don't know what the Indian system is. In America it was an allowance, a weekly allowance for the kiddies. I got my nickel every week, my big nickel. So the idea is that if the child spends his allowance wisely, the father increases the allowance. If he spends it not so wisely, he maintains it. If he really misspends it, he'll cut back on the allowance. So Krishna has given you an allowance of so much free time versus your livelihood time, your money earning time, your commute time. He has given each of us a certain allowance of free time that we can use for him. Are you using it for him or not? Are you watching mundane television? Are you wasting your time with mundane conversations, mundane pursuits? If you are, then don't expect to get more free time for a long time. But if you use every spare minute very wisely in Krishna's service, I guarantee you Krishna is the supreme controller. He can make magic happen in your life within a second. You never know. Just fully depend on Krishna and expect miracles to happen. So there's some further understanding about that. I think we've gone over time on this question and answer session.
Thank you very much.
Where it says here, Kirtan for session 3, that was... Wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Question and answers from 3 to 3:30. Okay. We started late, so we've gone over late. Now's a good time for a break. We'll take a 15-minute break, and then we'll come back for another session. Actually, that'll be the wrap-up session, huh? Okay, one more break. So now it's about 7.5 minutes till 4, so yeah, come back at about 12.5 minutes. Come back at, we'll give you a little extra time. Come back at 4:15 sharp. It's easier to tell you 4:15. Come back at 4:15 and we'll continue going deeper and deeper into present day Paramahamsa. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Testing. Test. Test, okay. So now we're having our wrap-up session, the final session, session number 4, for the present day Paramahamsa seminar. So we hope you're all inspired now to try to become pure devotees of the Lord, fully immersed in Krishna Bhakti, 24 hours a day, with your every thought, word and deed, in every situation, at work, at home, at school, in the commute, the grocery store, wherever you may be. Always thinking of Krishna, always wanting to serve Krishna in this way. This is Paramahamsa. One who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day. So before we dive into this session, again we will beg the mercy of the previous acharyas and Srila Prabhupada. Vandeham Shri Guru Advaitam Sahagana Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadudam Vadidana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Panansayana Ladita Shri Vishwagandritam Sham Namaham Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtambhari Satarine. So we have another nice shloka about Paramahamsa from the second canto. This is chapter number 9, answers by citing the Lord's version. Text number 18. Tad darshana hlada pariputam taro vishyaptanu prema vashvashu lochanaha nanama padam bhujam asha vishvasrig yat paramahamshiyena patodyagam yate. Lord Brahma, thus seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, was overwhelmed with joy within his heart, and thus in full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes filled with tears of love. He thus bowed down before the Lord. That is the way of the highest perfection for the living being, Paramahamsa. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that this great literature is meant for the Paramahamsas. Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam, that is, the Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for persons completely free from malice. So there's a definition of a Paramahamsa. He doesn't have any malice. He is the non-envious well-wisher of all living entities. He holds no grudges against anyone. Another symptom of Paramahamsa. In the conditioned life, the malicious life begins from the top, namely bearing malice against the personality of Godhead. That's a pretty powerful statement. Every envy that is experienced in this world is all simply manifestations of envy towards God. The original envy is God, and that it becomes manifest down, it filters down to envy on different levels. But it all begins with envy of God. So when it becomes non-envious of God, automatically becomes non-envious well-wisher of all living entities. In the condition, the personality of Godhead is an established fact in all the real scriptures. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the personal feature of the Supreme Lord is especially mentioned, so much so that the last portion of this great literature has emphatically stressed that one should surrender under the personality of Godhead to be saved from the miseries of life. Unfortunately, persons with impious backgrounds do not believe in the personality of Godhead, and everybody wants to become God himself without any qualification. This malicious nature in the conditioned souls continues even up to the stage when a person wants to be one with the Lord, and thus even the greatest of the empiric philosophers, speculating on becoming one with the Supreme Lord, cannot become a Paramahamsa because the malicious mind is there. Therefore, the Paramahamsa stage of life can be attained only by those who are fixed in the practice of Bhakti Yoga. This Bhakti Yoga begins if a person has the firm conviction that simply discharging devotional service to the Lord in full transcendental love can elevate him to the highest perfectional stage of life. Brahmaji believed in this art of Bhakti Yoga. He believed in the instruction of the Lord to execute tapa, and he discharged the function with great penance and thus achieved the great success of seeing the Vaikuntha Lokas and the Supreme Lord also, by personal experience. No one can reach the abode of the Supreme Lord by any mechanical means of the mind or machine, but one can reach the abode of the Vaikuntha Lokas simply by following the process of Bhakti Yoga, because the Lord can be realized only through the Bhakti Yoga process. Lord Brahmaji was actually sitting on his lotus seat, and from there, by executing the process of Bhakti Yoga in great seriousness, he could see the Vaikuntha Lokas with all variegatedness, as well as the Lord in person and his associates. And we can too, if we come to that stage of Paramahamsa. We can also have a darshan of the spiritual world, playing over in all of his associates. We become completely pure devotees. As Brahmaji has done, aren't we in his sampradaya? We're in the Brahma sampradaya, as he has had that darshan. If we follow in the footsteps of Brahmaji by cultivating pure bhakti, we will also have that same experience in due course of time. Following in the footsteps of Lord Rama, any person. Now Prabhupada's reconfirming what I just said. I'm feeling good about that, of course. I realized it, but now it's being reconfirmed by Srila Prabhupada. Following in the footsteps of Lord Rama, any person, even up to this day, the modern time, can attain the same perfection by following the path of the Paramahamsa as recommended herein. Lord Chaitanya also approved of this method of self-realization for men in this age, one should first, with all conviction, believe in the personality of God as Sri Krishna, and without making efforts to realize him by speculative philosophy. One should prefer to hear about him from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and later from the text of the Srimad Bhagavatam. One should hear such discourses from a person Bhagavatam and not from the professional man or from the karmi, jnani or yogi. That is the secret of learning the science. So you have to hear from a person Bhagavatam. So who is a person Bhagavatam? The person Bhagavatam is that person whose very life is Bhagavatam. He's a living embodiment of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 24 hours a day, in all times, all places, and all circumstances. If you can hear from such a person, you'll become a Paramahamsa by hearing Bhagavatam. One need not be in the renounced order of life. He can remain in his present condition of life. But he must search out the association of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and hear from him the transcendental message of the Lord with faith and conviction. That is the path of the Paramahamsa recommended herein. Amongst various holy names of the Lord, he is also called Ajita, and one who can never be conquered by anyone else. Yet, he can be conquered by the Paramahamsa path, as practically realized and shown by the great spiritual master, Lord Brahma. So, we might not be Paramahamsas yet, but we can be on the Paramahamsa path. Do you understand? We are not Paramahamsas yet. We are Sadhana Bhaktas. Or some maybe not there yet, but if we follow this pathway, the Paramahamsa Marg, you see, we will become Paramahamsas in due course. We will see Krishna, we will see the spiritual world, we will see the Radharani, Nanda Maharaj, Mother Jasoda, Subal, Madhu Mandal, everyone. We will see, actually, when one reaches this, and one reaches the stage of Raga Bhakti, which comes at a stage called the Asakti stage, just before Bhav, you can actually see the pastimes of Krishna within your heart, described by Srila Prabhupada. So, if we follow this pathway, we have great things awaiting us. Being successful devotee doesn't just mean being a well-respected member of ISKCON, or a well-respected member of the Krishna Club. Success in devotional service means you become Paramahamsa. You can see Krishna face to face. Eye to eye. That is success. So we want to be well-respected members of ISKCON by being nice, cooperative devotees. Actually, that's another seminar I'm going to give it in Bhaktivedanta Manor, of how to become perfect through sadhu sangha. By properly associating with Vaishnavas through the 6 loving exchanges. That carries us step by step along that Paramahamsa mark to the state of actually becoming Paramahamsa. So we'll continue now, finish up the purport. Lord Brahma has personally recommended the Paramahamsa Panta in his own words as follows. Jnane prayasam upapashya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam vavadiya varitam stane stita shruti gatam tanurvana manobhir ye prayasa jito pyasi taistilokyam. Lord Brahma said, "O my Lord Krishna, a devotee who abandons the path of empiric philosophical speculation, aimed at merging the existence of Supreme, and engages himself in hearing your glories and activities from a bona fide sadhu or saint, and who lives an honest life in the occupational engagement of his social life." Think of your ordinary job, for example. That can be included in the Paramahamsa Marga. Can conquer your sympathy and mercy even though you're ajita or unconquerable. Bhagavatam 10:14-3. 10:14-3. Check out that shloka. It's really an amazing verse. Bhagavatam 10:14-3. That is the path of the Paramahamsas, which was personally followed by Lord Brahma and later recommended by him for attaining perfect success in life. That has got to be the perfect purport for this seminar. I can't imagine a more perfect purport for this seminar. You see? It even says, in your occupational engagements, you don't have to give up your occupational engagements. You just honestly engage in your occupational engagements and you hear from the person Bhagavatam. The person Bhagavatam is also described in the first canto of the Bhagavatam. Nashta pareshva vandreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat yuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. One who regularly hears the Srimad Bhagavatam or serves that person who is a living embodiment of the Srimad Bhagavatam. For him, all that is inauspicious within the heart becomes destroyed almost to nil. One may think, well, why almost to nil? Why not completely? You may wonder, why in that verse is Bhagavatam says almost to nil? You ever wondered about that? I'll give you the answer. That's the stage of Shuddha Sattva. Sattva guna is the stage when it's destroyed almost to nil. And then you go one step further when devotional service is established as an irrevocable fact. You see, first by hearing the Bhagavatam and by reading the Bhagavatam and serving the person Bhagavatam, first of all you come to the mode of goodness, where the inauspicities are just almost completely destroyed, but not yet completely destroyed. In the mode of goodness, you see. Then you keep hearing the Bhagavatam and keep serving the person Bhagavatam while you're in the mode of goodness. And then from there you go to pure goodness. So at the beginning, in the sadhana bhakti stage, we're trying, Prabhupada has established us in the mode of goodness. No illicit sex, no meeting, no intoxication, no gambling, and chant 16 rounds. That puts us in the mode of goodness if we strictly follow the principles. You get initiated, you strictly follow the principles, you are in the mode of goodness. Where all the inauspicities are almost destroyed, but not yet completely destroyed. But then you continue hearing the Bhagavatam, serving your spiritual master, etc. And then by that, you come to the point where devotional service is an irrevocable fact. What does irrevocable mean? It can't be revoked. Just like in Vedic culture, marriage cannot be revoked. They've made some modern nonsense divorce law, but that is not the proper culture. That is not human culture. In human culture, marriage is an irrevocable vow for one lifetime. And the Guru-disciple relationship is an eternal irrevocable vow. So irrevocable means you can't break it. It can't be terminated. So, if one sticks to this Paramahamsa marg, the panta, then you will indeed be established in a pure bhakti mood which can never ever be destroyed. It will never be taken away. You will never ever fall down again. See, one who comes to the Paramahamsa stage, he cannot fall down. He becomes immune to falling down. He's so solidly situated, he can never fall down. So, it's really worth it shooting for the highest goal of Paramahamsa. It's really worth the endeavor. But I want to become a pure devotee now. I don't want just to be a neophyte forever. Neophyte is okay in the beginning. You got to start somewhere. But let me go now, progress in the neophyte stage to become a Madhyam Bhakta and ultimately a Uttama Adhikari Paramahamsa. Let me progress step by step. You see, it's described here in this verse. You see, one can achieve. So now we have some time for questions. Let's see, where I just see one question here. Any more? I think this one I didn't answer yet. No? Oh yeah, this one I didn't answer. Let's see. Okay. I just have two. Any more questions? This is your last chance. This is the last session. Now's your chance. If you have any questions. Okay. Alrighty here. So we have, if you could kindly enlighten me, when we chant Krishna's name during sleep, or something situation during, or remember something, R-E-M?
There is a sleep type of sleep,
Huh?
REM, that is called REM sleep, REM warrior.
He says some kind of a REM sleep.
I don't know, REM.
Okay, you're just sleeping.
Well, if one is able to chant in one's sleep, that's one is very fortunate. If you actually, you're lying there asleep and you're going, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Very fortunate you can chant in your sleep. That's very good. One is very fortunate one can do that. The next question is, we hear of the various ashrams and the relative ages. 0 to 25 brahmachari, 25 to 50 grahastha, 50 plus vanaprastha, and then sannyas. This would imply a human age of more or less 100 years, but at the same time we read in the scripture that people used to live for 10,000 years, 100,000 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, etc. How do we understand this? So the question would be, well, does that mean you spend, if you have a 1,000-year lifespan, you spend 250 years as a brahmachari? That would be the question. So people live to see their grandchildren and their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, their great-great-grandchildren, and so on. If this is so, if they live so long in the previous ages, then do their biological cycles still take the time to take in this age? For example, did they still age as people age today, or was the process slowed down? It would have to have been slowed down. I mean, you can't imagine somebody, becoming an old man by 60 and then having to go for another, 100,000, another 900,000, what is it? Another 90,000 years as an old man. It just it wouldn't make sense. This is not logical. It would be like, it would have to be, you were a young man for, 30,000 years, and you became middle-aged. It would have to be like that. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't all make sense. What does it mean if you have a dream about Krishna? It means you're very fortunate. Because any remembrance of Krishna, Krishna is present in his remembrance. So, if you're dreaming about Krishna, that means you're personally associating with Krishna in your dream. It's a great, great mercy. If one dreams about devotees or dreams about Krishna, it's very special mercy. If you wake up, you feel very, very fortunate if you had a dream about Krishna or his devotees. It's a very, very fortunate thing. In Vrindavan, Lord Brahma bewildered and stole Krishna's cow orphans, although Lord Brahma is Paramahamsa, as you just mentioned. Please explain. Prabhupada was one time asked about some of the various things that Brahma did were not exactly exemplary activities for a devotee, like lusting over his daughter also. Even lusting over even having some, there's things that not exactly what we call proper mentality. But Prabhupada told us that this serves as a warning to us. One thing is that great personalities can show different pastimes. It doesn't mean that they're fallen personalities. They have also, there's what's called rasa, or certain relationships that one has with Krishna. One becomes a liberated soul. And there's certain, Krishna takes certain pleasure in having certain pastimes with his devotees. So we should never think because Brahma, stole the calves and the boys, therefore he's not a Paramahamsa. He is the founder of our Sampradaya. We are coming in his Sampradaya. It is a Paramahamsa Sampradaya beginning from the very top. So we should not think that because he did things that we cannot do, that therefore he was not really a full-on Paramahamsa. We have to see this as special pastimes of him and his relationship with Krishna. That's how we should see him. And take lessons from him. He learned some valuable lessons. I have a question, Lord Brahma. He is our spiritual master. Admiring the pastime of Krishna, only he created situation for Vrindavan, so Krishna, that's the same thing. Okay. So anything else? Are we ready to wrap it up now?
Okay, thank you.
Ready for the wrap up? Finish it? Nodding your head, yes? You ready to go home? All right, here's some more questions. Okay. While chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, various thinkings come to mind. How can we concentrate completely? Well, I just recently read an amazing, I was doing some research, I'm constantly researching the Veda base practically every day to answer so many questions that people ask me. To see what Prabhupada says about so many things, because he has the best answers for everything. And one day in Vrindavan, I was searching through the database, and I found an amazing letter that Prabhupada wrote to one of his lady disciples, Balavi Devi does, about how to chant japa. I've been around ISKCON for like 42 years now, and I've never heard of this instruction before. Never heard this instruction about japa before, ever, from anyone. So when I saw this, I took special note of it. This is very amazing instruction from Srila Prabhupada about how to chant japa. This is what he told her. He said, when you chant japa, feel the presence of Krishna. I went, wow, that is going to be really something awesome. When you chant japa, feel the presence of Krishna. Well, you can analyze that. Well, Krishna is present, we know that. Krishna and his name are the same, right? So he is present. But do we feel his presence? No. Are we impersonalists? Yes. Krishna has personally come, and we don't treat him like a person. Prabhupada calls the holy name Nama Prabhu in one of his purports. The holy name is Krishna himself personally coming to you to bless you with his association. You have to remember that when you chant your rounds. It's not just somebody can't, well, I gotta get this done, you know, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We have that problem, I know. It's a problem we all share. So most of us share that problem. You know, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Actually, Prabhupada made fun of us one time. He was with Shruti Kirti, his servant. Prabhupada was chanting Hare Krishna. He said, okay, man, he says, now I finished my 16 rounds, I can do any damn thing I want, Prabhupada said. He was making fun of us, actually. It was sarcasm, pointed at us. I got my round done, I can do any damn thing I want. Actually, in this connection, also, around the same time there in Vrindavan, going through the Veda base, I found another instruction about japa. That Prabhupada wrote to a couple of Japanese boys who were not devotees, but they were appreciators of our movement, having read the books. They had written Prabhupada. And Prabhupada advised them to chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day. Literally, he told them, do this. He said, when you're taking your bath, when you're walking down the street, when you're riding in the bus, when you go to take rest, when you're doing something with your hands, that means he was talking about on the lips and not necessarily in the beads. If you're charking vegetables, for example, you can chant. Of course, you got to be careful to get saliva, obviously, on the vegetables. And to be practical. But Prabhupada was actually advising like this. And I was thinking, well, that's a pretty amazing instruction. I never really tried to do that. I mean, you know, we usually get our round and think, well, now I'll do something else. Now I'll go, you know, do this and that. But my rounds are finished now, so I can do other things. But actually, Prabhupada is advising you, never finish chanting your rounds. Just keep doing it constantly, round the clock. That's what he was telling them to do, literally. And I was thinking, this is actually a very amazing thing, especially in Vrindavan, you know, you get really inspired with this kind of stuff. But my mind started complaining and say, wait a minute, Sankarshan Das, let's not get carried away here, you know. Let's not be fanatical. You've done your rounds, you know, now please let me space out the rest of the day. You know, the mind was complaining. But I was saying out in the mind, don't you think that way, because actually this is what Prabhupada said, and this is powerful stuff. Mind, you just have to just shut up, and I'm going to chant more. I'm not going to stop, but once I finish my 16 rounds, I put my beads down. When I'm walking down the street, when I'm on the way to the Jamuna, I will keep chanting. When I'm in there pulling the bucket over my head, Vrindavan style, you know, I'm going to chant. So I started doing it, and it was amazing. And if you actually take the holy name as something that you're meant to do constantly, and it's confirmed by Krishna in the Gita, Satatam Kirtayantam Mam. 16 rounds is simply a minimization to make you sure you do some chanting. But actually, we're meant to chant 24 hours a day. If you understand that your duty is to constantly vibrate the name of Krishna on your lips, constantly, then you'll take your japa more seriously, and you'll actually be able to begin to feel how Krishna really is present. You take it as your. In other words, japa is so sweet, it's so transcendental, it's so enlivening, that one can actually go on chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, for millions and millions of years. If it wasn't for the physical limitations of the body, and I'm terming psychologically, one could go on absorbing his mind deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Not that it's boring and I have to somehow tolerate it until I'm through doing it. No. Every mantra becomes more and more relishable and ecstatic. Each time you say the mantra, it becomes sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. So if you understand the holy name in this way, that there's nothing but the name to be had in all the 14 worlds, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur states. All I need is Krishna's name. I need nothing but Krishna's name. For all of eternity, I can simply absorb myself in meditation on Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Take it as a celebration of the soul in relationship with the Supreme Soul. Not as some drudgery, take it as a celebration, the high, most ecstatic celebration of the soul, to be entangled like the swan entangles his neck in the lotus stem. Entangle your mind completely in Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. And then, concentration won't even be an issue. It won't be an issue. It won't be an issue even concentrating on the name. Because the name, anything that our minds dance here and dance there looking for pleasure, but one who's actually understood and tasted the pleasure of the name realizes that there's nothing else. Everything else is just an illusion. All the other pleasures are illusion. Everything else besides the name is simply suffering. Of course, the name includes our devotional service also. That's chanting in action. Sweeping the floor is the same as chanting Hare Krishna. It's chanting in action. You're chanting with your body when you wash the dishes for Krishna. You see, this is also kirtan. Prabhupada said everything we do is kirtan. He said, chanting, kirtan is kirtan. Reading is kirtan, writing books is kirtan, taking prasadam is kirtan. Jai Prabhupada, thank you. Everything is kirtan that we do except for sleeping, he said. Sleeping is waste. So we only sleep as much as we need, that's the idea. Actually, Prabhupada explains the devotee does not want to sleep more than he needs because he sees it as a waste of time. He doesn't want to sleep any more than he has to keep his energy. So, looks like here's the last question. If we see Krishna everywhere, why not eat from karmis? Well, if you see Krishna everywhere, why not eat human beings? Why not be a cannibal? You see Krishna everywhere. The argument isn't very good, that's the point. This argument, you could say, well, why not eat human beings? Why not become a cannibal? Because you see Krishna everywhere. This argument is not a very powerful argument, weak. Seeing Krishna everywhere means also understanding what Krishna wants me to do. Just like when Prabhupada was here, we could see Prabhupada, we made sure to do everything exactly how he wanted us to do it. We don't see Prabhupada here, sometimes we have a tendency to slip away from his instructions. That's the reality. That's a danger we face in ISKCON, that Prabhupada has now gone, physically departed. There's a tendency to not strictly do those things that he wanted us to do in his absence. When the cat's away, the mice will play. There's that tendency, we have to always be on vigilant to avoid that tendency. When Prabhupada was there, everybody was very ideal in their behavior. Everybody put their best, it's called putting your best foot forward. When Prabhupada came to your temple, everybody put their best foot forward, you see. So if you actually see Krishna everywhere, you're going to very carefully do what Krishna wants you to do. You're not going to think about eating from karmis. If you see Krishna, you wouldn't. If you can see Krishna, you would see how displeased he is if you're eating from the karmis. Say, well, because I see Krishna everywhere, then I can eat anything. If you really see him, you see how displeased he is with you for eating food from karmis. You'll see how very displeased he is. You say, well, I'm on the airplane and only karmis have this food, it's vegetarian. And I'm seeing Krishna everywhere, so it's okay. No. If you're really seeing, you'll see Krishna will be going, no, don't do it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Prabhupada said, don't do it. Therefore you should, if you're really seeing Krishna, you'll see Krishna saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. That's seeing Krishna. You understand? Don't do it. That's seeing Krishna. Okay, it looks like that's the end of the question well has now run dry, it looks like. So that means it's time to wrap it up. I think we actually do have it on our schedule. We've a little bit delayed, but yeah, this is actually official wrap-up time for the organizers now. It's from 5 to 5:30. So we'll turn it back over to the organizers, and we thank you all so much for coming today, coming out on a day when you could be doing so many other things. You come actually here to sit and hear about Krishna and becoming a Paramahamsa, and I'm so happy you've all come. And we appreciate it very much. May you all be blessed that you can all become Paramahamsas as soon as possible.
On behalf of all the assembled devotees, we'd like to thank His Grace Sankarshan Adhikari for this inspiring, wonderful present-day Paramahamsa seminar. Hare Krishna. So we hope Prabhu and Mataji makes this an annual fixture, and if we can conduct seminar every year at ISKCON Scarborough, we'd be very, very grateful. And we request Mahabhagavat Prabhu also to arrange this every year. Again, warm round of applause for Mahabhagavat Prabhu. And we also like to thank all the devotees for their enthusiasm. We can see that by the number of questions you had submitted. From the questions that you submitted, all of us also learned so much. Again, thank you very much for the same. So for devotees of ISKCON Scarborough, we will have a regular program starting at 6:30 p.m. today. Hare Krishna again.